Have you ever felt something so divine, so otherworldly, that it shook you to your very core? Like your soul just knew something had shifted forever? A few nights ago, in total silence, I was praying, not with fancy words, just raw, honest desperation. I needed clarity. I needed God. And that's when it happened. Suddenly, I felt this energy, not physical, but undeniable. My chest got tight. My hands started trembling. And then, a thought, a whisper, a page. God led me to a Bible verse I had never seen before, a verse hidden in plain sight, one that, for some reason, no one talks about. But when I read it, everything changed. It was like time stopped, my thoughts faded, and for the first time in a long time, I felt seen. If you're watching this right now, let me tell you something. It's not a coincidence. You didn't click on this video by accident. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, feeling lost, questioning your purpose, or wondering if God still speaks today, what I'm about to show you might be the turning point you've been praying for. Because what I found isn't just a verse. It's a spiritual key, a quantum revelation, hidden by time, but unveiled in divine timing. And if your heart is open, you're about to see how one ancient verse can collapse years of spiritual silence into a single moment of awakening. You see, most people live their lives stuck, not because they're weak, but because they've never been shown truth. They've never encountered a word from God that breaks the cycle, that ignites purpose, that rewires everything they believed about their identity, their calling, and their future. But tonight, yes, tonight, that could change. I'm going to read this hidden verse to you, but not just that. I'm going to tell you what happened after, the shift in my reality, the breakthrough in my thoughts, and how everything, from my finances to my emotions, began to align with divine order. And you, my friend, are next. But before we go there, I want you to do something. If this message is already stirring something inside of you, if your heart is racing, or tears are forming, or there's this strange sense that you've been led here, then hit that like button right now. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, because this isn't entertainment. This is an encounter. And today, you're going to hear a message most people will never hear in their lifetime. Don't blink, don't scroll, don't click away, because the next few minutes might carry the exact revelation your spirit's been waiting for. Before we go any further, pause for just a second. If you're already feeling something deep inside while you listen, if this message is awakening a part of you that's been silent for too long, take a moment right now to hit the like button. It might seem small, but every time you do, this message finds its way to another soul who's searching for the same light you are. Go ahead, subscribe if you haven't yet, not because it helps me, but because it connects you to a space where we seek truth together, where faith meets knowledge, and hearts like yours and mine can grow stronger. When you subscribe, you're not joining a channel. You're joining a movement, a family that believes God still speaks, still heals, still transforms. And one more thing. I want you to scroll down and write a single word in the comments right now. Ready. Just that. Ready. Because when you type that word, you're doing more than interacting. You're declaring something. You're saying, I'm ready for change. I'm ready for the truth. I'm ready for God to move. Those comments are not just words. They're sparks of intention, tiny signals of faith that can ignite transformation in someone else who reads them. You might never meet them, but your comment might be the reason another person doesn't give up tonight. So like, subscribe, and write ready below. Let's fill this space with faith, light, and energy that pushes back the darkness. Because together, we can send this revelation farther than any algorithm ever could. I wasn't always this close to the truth. There was a time, not too long ago, when everything around me looked normal, but inside, I was unraveling. I would go to work, smile at people, play the part, and then come home to silence. The kind of silence that wraps around your chest and doesn't let go. Nights stretched into early mornings, and I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, asking, God, are you still there? Can you even hear me anymore? There were nights when I cried into my pillow just to muffle the sound. Not because I was weak, but because I was empty. I had bills piling up, a relationship falling apart, and no answers. I kept opening the Bible, hoping that some verse would jump out at me, but it all felt distant, like the words were meant for someone holier, someone else, not me. I wanted a sign, a word, something that would cut through the darkness and tell me, you're not alone. I'd kneel down beside my bed, whispering the same prayer night after night. God, I don't need a miracle. I just need to feel you again. Have you ever been there? Where your heart is so heavy it's hard to breathe. Where you scroll through your phone just to distract yourself from your own thoughts. Where you hear everyone else talking about transformation and joy and you wonder, when will it be my turn? I used to think something was wrong with me. Why wasn't I hearing from God like other people claimed to? Why did I feel forgotten, like heaven was silent and my prayers were bouncing off the ceiling? I tried everything, motivational videos, podcasts, even fasting, but the void stayed. Until one night, something shifted. I had no strength left to pretend. I turned off every light in my room, sat on the floor and said aloud, God, either show me you're real, or I can't keep doing this. It wasn't a threat. It was surrender. And in that surrender, something changed. The air around me grew still. I can't explain it scientifically, but I felt it, like the energy shifted in the room. A sense of peace, yes, but also weight, a holy weight, something sacred. That's when I opened my Bible, randomly. I didn't plan it. I wasn't looking for a verse, but my eyes locked onto a page that seemed to glow off the paper. A verse I'd never heard preached, never seen shared on social media, never even underlined in the pages of my own Bible. And the moment I read it, it was like something inside of me cracked open, like all the questions, all the spiritual static, all the doubt, collapsed in on itself. This verse, it wasn't just scripture, it was a revelation, a spiritual download that pierced through every lie I believed about myself, my purpose, and God's presence in my life. If you've ever been in that place, if you know the weight of spiritual silence, of needing one small light to break through the shadows, then maybe this message is for you too. Maybe that verse wasn't just meant for me. Maybe God is trying to get your attention right now, just like He did mine. If that's already starting to resonate, I want you to scroll down and type in the comments, I need light. It's not for me, it's for you. It's your declaration. Because sometimes, the smallest step of faith opens the biggest door. And then, everything slowed down. I was still sitting on the floor, still holding my breath from the weight of that silent prayer. But when I looked down, the words on the page didn't look like they had before. Something was different. It felt as if the ink itself was alive, calling out to me. I can't explain it in logical terms. There was no flash of light, no thunder in the sky, but I knew something had shifted. Something divine had entered the room. It was like time paused. My eyes locked on a verse I didn't remember ever noticing before. I had read this chapter so many times growing up, heard it mentioned in church maybe once or twice, but never like this. Not with this much weight, not with this much presence. It was like this verse had been waiting in silence all this time, waiting for me to reach that exact moment of surrender. The verse read, I will give you the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that you may know that I, the Lord, who call you by your name, am the God of Israel. Isaiah 45:3. At first I was confused. Treasures, darkness, hidden places. It felt so cryptic, but then I read it again, slowly, letting every word settle inside my spirit. It wasn't about gold. It wasn't about money. It was about what can only be found in the dark. It was about the breakthrough that lives on the other side of pain. It was about revelation, the kind you don't get from books or sermons, but from nights alone with God when everything else falls away. It hit me like a wave. Every moment of pain I had carried suddenly made sense. The tears, the silence, the anxiety, all of it had led to this. The treasure wasn't comfort, it was clarity. It was faith forged in fire. It was transformation that can't be undone. When I spoke those words out loud, treasures of darkness, hidden riches of secret places, something in me broke open. It was as if every wall I had built, every doubt I had buried, every wound I had ignored, crumbled at once. My body didn't move, but my spirit stood up. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel empty. I felt chosen, not in the way you hear in motivational speeches, but in a way that felt personal. God had just answered my prayer, not with comfort, but with a calling. This verse was more than encouragement. It was instruction. It was proof that God had been speaking all along, just not in the way I expected. And now I knew the truth. The places I feared most were the ones holding the keys to everything I had been praying for. And maybe this verse was never meant to be mine alone. Maybe you're here because that same verse was waiting for you too. If your heart feels it, if something inside of you is saying, this is for me, Then I want you to scroll down right now and type one word in the comments. Yes. Just that. Because when you write yes, you're not talking to me. You're answering the voice that's been whispering to you in the silence. You're agreeing with the divine message already alive inside of you. And sometimes, one word is all it takes to step out of the dark and into the treasure. After that moment, something shifted in the atmosphere of my life. It wasn't just a temporary emotional high or a spiritual goosebump that faded away. This was deeper, real, solid, and over the next few days, the transformation began to take shape in ways I didn't expect. For the first time in what felt like years, my thoughts slowed down. The panic that used to wake me up at night, the racing mind, the questions about tomorrow, faded into stillness. There was peace, a quiet confidence I hadn't felt in so long. Not because everything around me was perfect, but because something inside me had aligned. It started with small things. I began waking up earlier, not out of obligation, but because I wanted to be in that presence again. I'd read the same verse every morning, declaring it aloud like a promise over my life. Treasures of darkness, hidden riches. It echoed through my spirit like a fire. I stopped reacting with fear to the situations I used to dread. Conversations that used to drain me now passed over me like waves. I felt grounded, like my spirit was standing on something unshakable. Then came the external shifts. A financial opportunity that had been stuck for months suddenly cleared. A person I hadn't spoken to in years, someone I thought I had lost, reached out unexpectedly to apologize and reconnect. Even my physical body felt different, like a weight had lifted from my chest that I didn't even know I was carrying. But here's what truly blew my mind. The more I leaned into that verse, the more I began to understand that this wasn't just about me. It wasn't just my season. It was a pattern, a spiritual law, that in the very places we avoid, the darkness, the struggle, the silence, God hides the treasure, the awakening, the call. And if He did it for me, He can do it for you, but only if you stop running from the pain and start leaning into it with open hands. Because that's where the power within is activated. That's where your spirit wakes up, and where your life with God becomes more than just belief. It becomes a manifestation of something eternal. If you're listening to this and thinking, I've been in that dark place, then listen closely. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. Because this kind of transformation, this clarity of vision, these open doors, this peace that goes beyond explanation, it doesn't come from avoiding the battle. It comes from embracing the weapon God has already placed in your hands, His word, spoken into your specific storm. But there's something else you need to know, something deeper. Because even though things began to shift in my life, there was still a moment, just one, when I almost gave it all up again. And what happened next is something most people ignore, not because they don't care, but because they don't understand the key that unlocks everything. I wish I could tell you that everything stayed perfect after that I never doubted again, never struggled again, never questioned again. But that wouldn't be the truth, because what I discovered next was something I hadn't expected, something even more powerful than the verse itself. One morning, about a week after that night of revelation, I was reciting Isaiah 45:3 again, just like I had been doing every day. I had been speaking it aloud every morning before anything else, letting the words sink deep into my mind and spirit. I would stand in front of the mirror and declare, God, you promised treasures in the darkness. Show me what you hid in this valley. Show me what others missed. And that's when it happened. As I spoke it again, almost casually this time, I felt an interruption, a pause, like something in my spirit didn't want me to rush through it. I said it again, slower, with more intention. And in that stillness, I heard one simple instruction rise inside of me. Write it down, not just in a journal, not on my phone, but somewhere I would see it, every day. So I grabbed a black marker and walked straight to the mirror. And for the first time in my life, I wrote a verse of the Bible right there, across the reflection of my own face. I will give you the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places. And below it, I wrote one more line. This battle has a treasure. And that changed everything. Because suddenly, every morning wasn't just about waking up. It was about being reminded of the promise, the hidden power, the alignment between the Word of God and my everyday choices. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was co-laboring with God. I was walking in spiritual authority, not because I was perfect, but because I was anchored. From that moment on, my perspective changed permanently. Hard days came, but I faced them with a word in my mouth and a fire in my soul. Old fears showed up, but I didn't flinch because I knew what was hidden behind the darkness. And most of all, I began to recognize something new. There is no wasted pain in a life with God. Nothing is random. Nothing is lost. Every delay, every tear, every unanswered question has a verse attached to it. And if you dare to dig deeper, to seek more, to believe that God still hides mysteries in His Word just for you, then you're about to enter a season of unshakable transformation. So here's what I want you to do next. If you felt something stir in your heart throughout this message, if there was even one moment that felt like it was just for you, don't let it pass by. Seal it. Write the verse somewhere you'll see it. On your mirror, on your wall, on your heart. Declare it every morning. Say it even when you don't feel it, especially when you don't feel it. Because repetition unlocks revelation, and what you declare consistently, you will eventually embody. This isn't just a message, it's a doorway to the next level of who you were created to become. And if you're truly ready to walk into that next level, if you're done playing small with your purpose and you're ready to take the next spiritual step, here's what I need from you. Go down to the comments right now. Tell me, I'm ready for more. Or even better, drop the verse that has been speaking to you the most lately. Write it like a declaration. Share it with boldness. And if you feel led, tag someone you know who needs this light. Because the treasure wasn't just for me. It was meant to be shared. Like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And hit that bell so you never miss a moment like this again. Because if this video spoke to you, wait until you see what's next. The next video I prepared for you is one of the most eye-opening revelations I've ever shared. It's called, They Lied to You About God's Prosperity. Discover the Truth. Click the link right here on the screen and let's go even deeper, together.